I'm Tony Gibbs. First thing I'd like to do is thank each and every one of you for coming to do this. Right? You've given up 2 days of your time, right, and given a lot of energy to what's happened here over the last couple of days. Has it been worthwhile? Yes? So I want this to be interactive, right? So yes, so it's been worthwhile, right? And have your opinions changed? Have you thought differently now about the way that things are based on the things you've now learned than you did when you arrived? Do you feel differently about it? That's change, isn't it? Right? I'm going to give you a bit of background on me. So I am ex-military, as you said. I did 45 years in the Royal Navy. I finished not that long ago, believe it or not, in a reasonably senior position. I had a lot of opportunity to learn about change, influence change, and implement it during my career. One of the projects I did, £8.5 million, I managed to get it out of the RAF. I was Navy, I managed to get £8.5 million out of the RAF in order to deliver a training facility down at RAF St Morgan. And that was not long after they decided they wanted to close it. We managed to change their minds, then give me £8.5 million. And I literally went to RAF Command, sat there, it was like Dragon's Den, sat with these guys and convinced them to give me some money based on a sketch that I did, Tony Gibbs, age 6. So this is the thing I want. I managed to convince them to give me £8.5 million. I'm condensing that a little bit, but that is what happened. Because I believed at the time I had the right idea for the right reason and I could implement that change. Okay, so what do we think about change? Do we think change is easy or difficult? Difficult, generally difficult. Okay, how many of you implement change? I would suggest every single one of you implements change all of the time. What you wear in the morning, what you change into, what you want to do, what you have for breakfast, all these things are change. Some of them are easy, because you don't really need to think about it much. Other stuff is really difficult. Stuff you've been talking about the last 2 days is difficult. Right? And the reason it's difficult is because what you're dealing with is people. Right? People have different ideas. People have different ways of doing things. I've listened to some of the questions you've been asking. They're brilliant. Because what you're doing is trying to analyse the information you're being given and then thinking about how do we implement that change based on what I know. Because what we know is that change is important if you're doing it for the right reasons. And if you're going to do it, you want it to stick. And that's the most difficult thing about change. It's certainly what I know from a practical level. It's easy to have the idea. I can come up with 100. Right? But trying to convince people to get behind it, do it, and then make it stick. That's the difficult bit. So I live here in Bude. I've lived here now for about 8 years. I've travelled around the world, and I could have chosen to live virtually anywhere I wanted in the world, but I came here. And I came here for the community. I came here for the location. I came here for the people. Since I've been here, I've been on the town council. Now not on the town council, but I am chairing our town team. Now, one of the things that I've been accused of since I've been here is coming in here as an outsider and wanting to change everything. Right? And the truth is, I don't want to change anything, really, but I have to accept the fact that change is necessary. The sort of stuff that we're now facing, the types of crisis that we're now facing, require us to be proactive. They require us to think about proactively how we want to manage the stuff that's happening to us. And we can either be proactive or we can just let it happen to us. Personally, I want to be proactive. I want to influence that. I want to make sure we're getting the right change for the right reason. Some of that is really difficult, and we spend time thinking about it, but that's why all of you are in the room. That's why you're all engaged with this. How long have I got? 1 minute? Right. The model I use is 4 E's. I haven't got any PowerPoint, I'm just going to read it to you. 4 E's, the 4 E's principle of human change is educate, engage, empower, and enable. That's exactly what you're in the room doing. Right? You've all been educated. Last couple of days, you've learnt stuff. Okay? You're now engaged. Like you said yourself, all of you now feel differently about what you've learnt than you did when you first came in. That's engagement. Right? You want to be here, you want to ask questions, you want to make a difference. You're now empowered. Right? You now have the right to have an opinion about change because you've gone through the process of learning it and understanding it. You want to know more. You've got experts in the room. And finally, you're enabled. You're part of a group, you're part of a team, you're part of a collective who are able to do the right thing for the right reasons. So change is difficult, okay, but you guys have got the means to do it. And supporting the Climate Partnership and everybody else who's here is going to make a real difference. Finally, I'd just like to finish by thanking the Climate Partnership, the organisers and everybody else to give us the opportunity to come and do this, because it will make a real difference. So thank you very much for coming, and thank you everybody for organising it.